Tonight, the voting is on as Hong Kong District Council election proceeds. West Australians aren't supportive of raising the legal drinking age despite hefty binge drinking consequences. Thanks for calling in.
Also in the news tonight, the Hogg's report shows a sharp increase for help in paying utility bills, and the CLP headquarters redevelopment plan has been given the go-ahead.
Good evening. First to breaking news. The Hong Kong District Council election is going on as there will be new seats in the Legislative Council up for grabs next year, which can be a make or break moment for the Pan-Democrats' power over LegCo, as the parties have diverse opinions.
The DC election has started at 7:30 this morning. So far, we know that more than 290,000 people have cast their votes. The latest footages we have so far shows that politicians are still trying their best to rally outside the polling stations. DHK News understands that the competition has been very intense, with the Pan-Democrats, Independents and pro-government parties competing for the councillors' roles, which will lead to the new Legislative Council seats next year. Now remember, the polling stations will be closing at 10 o'clock tonight, so if you want to cast your vote, please go there as soon as possible. Kenneth, DHK News, Hong Kong.
Well, Chinese news department is out in full force to bring you all the latest, but the English news department won't miss out the action because we'll have a special news broadcast tomorrow night, election results. Please remember to join us then.
Binge drinking has been a long-time problem in Western Australia, costing the country millions of dollars in economic costs, including crime, violence and premature deaths. According to the World Health Organisation, West Australian teenagers consume 2 litres of alcohol more per year than the average Australian. But despite all this, Western Australians still aren't supportive of raising the legal drinking age to 21. Here is an extract of our chief newsreader Ivan Leung's special 26-minute report on the issue.
We have surveyed 100 people in Perth and the results are interesting. Despite 79% of our interviewees agreed that WA is facing a serious binge drinking problem, and 74% of our respondents believe that the current state laws are not enough to stop binge drinking, only 38% of our interviewees support raising the legal drinking age to 21, with 46% disagrees and 16% maybes. The term binge drinking is defined as heavily consuming an alcoholic drink in a short period of time, medically known as alcoholic intoxication disorder, but more commonly as getting drunk. However, there are different definitions of how many standard drinks a person has to drink before they can be classified as binge drinking. Steve Alsop, an expert from Curtin University's National Drug Research Institute, further explains the term binge drinking.
If we used the NHMRC, the National Health and Medical Research Council guideline, we would say that drinking 5 standard drinks or more on a single day would represent heavy drinking by any measure, and heavy drinking particularly for young people.
Violent behavior and fighting is among the cruelest results of binge drinking, if not the most cruel. That's why, unfortunately, discussing about binge drinking obliges us to refer to violence, and it is something really related to alcohol consumption, especially when speaking about the West Australian case. In any case, statistics are not necessary for somebody to realise the importance of that issue. A simple walk in Northbridge early Saturday morning will be enough to convince anyone about how violent drunk people can be. Verbal abuses in the best case, violent fightings in the worst. To make things worse, sometimes the fights are even between friends. In addition, rates of alcohol-related harm in young people have increased significantly at recent years, especially at people aged 16 to 24-year-olds. Alcohol consumption at an early age is very damaging. It can cause physical, social, financial and legal problems, and also highly increase the chance of appearing greater problems in later life, such as chronic offending behavior and mental health problems.
If you want to see the full version of the report, please hop on to www.youtube.com/DHK channel and click on Binge Drinking Special Report to watch.
Another embarrassment for the state government, as the figures from the parliament shows an extra $600,000 are wasted on empty government houses. Shadow Housing Minister Mark McGowan accused the state government of being wasteful and out of touch with West Australians. But a spokesperson from the Minister of Finance has hit back, saying the previous Labor government has left even more offices empty.
There is more bad news for the Barnett government, as new figures reveal an additional $600,000 was wasted on empty government offices, on top of the $700,000 that was already reported in August. According to figures provided by Mr. Mark McGowan, the Shadow Minister of Housing and Works, the wasted taxpayers' money included more than $275,000 on unoccupied offices by the public sector, commissioned over 18 months. $97,000 on unoccupied offices in Bunbury. More than $46,000 on unoccupied police buildings in Midland. More than $24,000 on unoccupied corrective services building in Osborne Park. And more than $137,000 on unoccupied government office in Lansdale. Mr. McGowan says this is not the time to be wasting taxpayers' money on offices that are not even being used, and further accused the government of being out of touch with ordinary Western Australians.
Well, you certainly shouldn't be sitting around having offices unoccupied, which it appears there are at the moment. And this is a prime example. This is $275,000 worth of unoccupied office sitting in this building behind me. That's money that could be spent on better things.
Many people we spoke to on the street seem to agree, calling this a blatant waste of taxpayers' money.
It's kind of ridiculous.
I feel that our money should be going to things that are worthwhile and benefit our state as a whole.
However, a spokesperson from the Minister of Finance office is quick to point out that empty unused office space stands at only 0.2% of total government accommodation space, whereas under Labour, the number stood at 0.8%. Shibs, DHK News.
There are shocking figures from the Hogg's report this week, as it shows that there are 4 times more West Australians over the past 2 years asking for grants to help pay their utility bills. But the opposition leader, Eric Ripper, argues that the figures only show the tip of the iceberg.
With the rise of electricity, water and gas prices, the number of West Australian families in need has also risen. Opposition leader Eric Ripper says last month alone 56 families a day were asking for help with electricity bills. He says this is clear evidence that government price increases are creating financial hardship for people and causing widespread applicants for the hardship utility grant scheme.
This is just the tip of the iceberg. There are thousands more families really too proud to apply for Hogg's assistance, or in some other way deterred from applying for assistance.
Robin McSweeney urged people to ring their utility providers if they're struggling to pay bills. An extra payment extension to the one per year now offered can be granted by utility providers thanks to the government's $8 million investment into the scheme. Mrs McSweeney says she expects people to make use of the streamlined access to help and that the numbers of families applying will rise.
If you are in hardship, the government has the money there, and please, if you are in hardship, pick up the phone and ring up your corporation, your utility, and help is available.
Johanna, Lettenmaier, DHK News.
Lawmakers have urged the Mass Transit Railway Corporation to hire more maintenance staff to tackle a rise in disruption to services. The railway company told a Legislative Council panel that there were over 80 delays lasting for more than 8 minutes between July and September. An independent lawmaker, Andrew Cheung, says that despite the substantial increase in spending on maintenance, further staff were still needed.
The redevelopment plan of the CLP Power's historic headquarters on Argyle Street has been given a go-ahead under the relaxed height limit in the area. But the plan is not met with universal praise, as the Green groups are concerned that it might lead to heavier air pollution.
The Town Planning Board has approved the planned redevelopment of CLP's Power headquarters in Argyle Street between Kowloon City and Mongkok. The board has relaxed the height restrictions from 80 to 100 meters. The plot ratio will also increase from 5 to 5.5 for a proposed residential and museum development. The power company has promised the public to preserve a clock tower, but the rest of the building will be replaced by 3 blocks of 25-story residential buildings. A green group has warned the redevelopment could worsen air quality in the area, as traffic on the nearby roads will increase and the height of the building can lead to air ventilation problems. Camilo Mejia, DHK News.
Sports news is next with Stelbovics.
Thanks, Ivan, and welcome to this week's News and Sports. Well, it's been the week of the comeback, and starting with swimming, Ian Thorpe has finished 7th in the 100-metre individual medley final in Singapore. The Torpedo said he was thoroughly relieved to just be back in the pool. So now the comeback road to 2012 London Olympics has begun, and he will be joined along the way by Golden Girl Libby Trickett. In cricket, and with 40-year-old spinner Brad Hogg announcing his return already last week for the Perth Scorchers, the Melbourne Stars are set to announce Shane Warne's comeback in the domestic Big Bash 2020 series. The 42-year-old king of spin is the star signing in the series and hasn't played on Australian soil since 2006. And I tell you what, guys, wouldn't it be great if Warney has one more crack at those Poms in the 2013 Ashes? And you know that if Warney can do it and age isn't an obstacle, he's still going to have it. Yeah. And that's all in sports, guys.
Yeah, Alex.
You've done it again.
That's how the world looks tonight.
Don't forget to tune in for the election results tomorrow night. Good night.
Good night.